Today we're being joined by a former Hawk and Gold Coast AFLW player, Janet Baird. Jeanette, thanks for coming on.
Thanks so much for having me.
No, so obviously played at the Gold Coast Suns and most recently at the Hawks. How did the opportunity come about first off to join the Suns and join the AFLW?
Actually, it was in the back of a partnership with the anti-government and the Gold Coast Suns. So I agreed to look at anti-prospects in 2020. So with that partnership and with the training on with the Gold Coast Suns after COVID, they gave me an opportunity to be part of their 2020-2021 squad. So which was really surreal as well. Yeah.
That's good. So was it always an aim from you personally to want to play footy and then progress higher?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I've been serious about footy probably since I was 15, and I was a trainer with Adelaide Crows, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, when I was 19. But I hurt my hamstring in my draft year, so I didn't end up going that way, in that direction. And then a consistent year in the VFL landed me at the Suns. So, yeah, it was always been on the cards, and I was always serious about it. So, yeah.
So that's good. So in terms of being a trainer on the Crows, what experience did you get playing from the Crows? Obviously, you had some gun. They still do have some gun players there. So who are some players that kind of, or people there that kind of helped you now get to where you got on a list eventually too?
Yeah, like if you look back at 2017, the Adelaide Crows drafted 9 Northern Territory players through their partnership as well. That some of the NT girls staying in Darwin while they played for Adelaide Crows. So players like Ange Foley and Danielle Ponta. Oh, Danielle Ponta came after. Sorry. Danielle and I have always played against each other and with each other. So she's been a teammate and now an idol of mine. Stevie Lee and Hutchard played a couple of Northern Territory Thunder games with us. So big names. But it was really cool to play and train with them. Yeah.
That's good. Now, I was going to mention Danielle Ponta later, but I'm going to mention her now. Now, obviously, I'm sure you'd be fully aware at the start of the year where she hit a great goal from the centre square at Icon Park. So obviously, you do recall that moment. Do you think you'd be able to replicate that moment, or any former teammates that you feel would be able to replicate that, or just think they can, but they really can't?
Yeah, no. Danielle Ponta is, I think, one of a kind. Like, I've always played with and against her since probably we were 14, 15 years old. So I don't think many people can do what she does. But if anyone can replicate that, I'd put my money on Ashanti Bush at the Suns at the moment. She's a goal sneak and she's pretty savvy around goals. So, yeah, Ashanti Bush.
Yeah, not a bad choice. So obviously, being part of the Gold Coast, how did that opportunity be drafted at pick 54? How did you go, obviously, as you mentioned, not getting it selected in your original draft? So how did you persist to keep going and go, you clearly wanted the role? So what did you do in that time of not getting drafted to then the time again picked up by Gold Coast?
After my draft year, like, it was pretty hard realizing that I wasn't getting drafted like all my friends were. But through consistent footy and just finding love for the game and enjoying being back at home surrounded by family and friends, ended up playing really consistently in the VFL, and the Suns noticed and picked me up the next year. So I think just persistently enjoying footy and being consistent in what you were doing made people notice me, which was good. Yeah.
So obviously then joining the Gold Coast Suns that night, how was that draft process? Obviously it's much different to how the men's competitions run, but picked on that night. How was the lead up into that draft? Did you have any indication that you feel that Gold Coast were the one, or any other clubs were around the corner, or you just like most people are these days and had no idea?
Luckily for me, back then, I think it's still the case, it's state-based. So obviously being from the NT, we have to choose a state we have to go to because there's no teams up here. I was a trainer with the Suns already. I've had all my connections and had the conversations with those coaches. So I sort of backed in on what I've been working on consistently for the last 6 months with the Suns, and they backed me in on that process as well. So I nominated Gold Coast and sort of had pretty good confidence and intel that I was going there. So, yeah.
It's good. So obviously then a few years later, you jumped over to the Hawks. Was that a hard decision to make? And how was that move for you?
Yeah, it was a pretty hard conversation to have with my coaches back then. I think the opportunity came about because Beck Goddard coached me in the Allies team a few years ago, and I just knew her as a coach, and I knew what she had, how she coached it, what she brought to the table. So I was really excited. So I think the conversation with her was so easy that she made it. She was pushing a good case for me to come to the Hawks, so she convinced me.
That's good. Convinced you good well enough to move on. So obviously we'll backtrack a second for a little bit. Your debut, official AFLW debut for Gold Coast. How was that day for you, and how did you get told that week that you'd be debuting in round 3? I think it was.
Yeah, round 3, in my first year, I had been selected emergency, I think, the first 2 rounds. So I was really eager. I would get ready like I was about to play, and then obviously not get selected in that last 10 minutes of getting ready for the game. But
Yeah.
Round 3, I think I debuted in Blacktown against GWS. Very cold. Probably not the best sort of weather to be debuting in, but it was epic. Every single moment. We lost that game, unfortunately, against GWS, but it was just a great experience for a 20-year-old from northeast Arnhem to have a go and play footy on the big stage.
Absolutely. So obviously then the Hawthorn debut, obviously 2022. How was that debut? Was it any much different to the Gold Coast one, or did it feel any more special considering it was a new team, or how did you go with that one?
I think I held the Gold Coast one a little bit closer to my heart because it was my first game ever.
Yeah.
But it was amazing, all the same, to play with Hawthorn as well last year because a lot of my brothers go for the team, and I was a huge Buddy Franklin fan and a Sirioli fan up, so that was pretty special as well.
So they kind of both had their moments. Who were some teammates while you were at the Gold Coast Suns that you kind of built a connection with, and maybe still to this day keep in contact with?
Oh yeah, one of my closest friends, still from the Gold Coast Suns, is Wallace Randall. She played in the back line, I played in the forward, but we always played against each other at training, which was epic. And she's still a good friend of mine. Lucy Single, pretty as well, and Jade Progelli, she's at the Lions now. Very close to my heart, those girls.
Now, you mentioned Lucy. Obviously, she's doing a terrific job as the Suns with a tagging role. How do you feel she's gone? She's tagged some of the best players in the comp this year, and she's done bloody well at it too.
Yeah, well, I have always known Lucy to be this type of player. I'm just so the rest of the competition's seeing it now. She's put in the hard work. She's always been, the fittest person out there, and just so tough and agile as well. So I'm so glad everyone's starting to see, and she's starting to reap the benefits of all her hard work the last couple of seasons. Yeah, proud of her.
Absolutely. And you mentioned Wallace. So you said at training, obviously playing different positions and matching up at training. How was the rivalry, I suppose, being good mates and then training on each other? Did you one up her a fair bit, or was it even, or did one dominate the other?
No, it was pretty even. I feel like she's more of a shutdown defender, and I'm a bit of I sneak around and I'm a goal sneaker. But obviously at the Hawks I played forward and halfback, so I knew a little bit, back flankers' tricks that they do. It was always good fun, always competitive. Both of us have white line fever, so it was always good fun.
It's good. Now, what would you say, if any, is there any difference between the two clubs? Obviously, you enjoyed both clubs, but was there any major differences between each club in terms of how they prepared games or anything in particular that strikes out?
I feel like Gold Coast know how to hype everyone up. Everyone was always in the little dance circles right before the game. So those how to have fun before the game. And Hawthorn, we're all very much serious about our craft at Hawks. So everyone's sort of doing their own thing. That's the major differences, but both teams had to prepare for a game. But yeah, I feel like Gold Coast, you turn the music up a little louder, and everyone sort of got involved to dance a little bit before the game.
So now at Hawthorn, obviously, who's some teammates that you connect with? Well, they're obviously still beating there on this year. Obviously, seems to be a very popular figure at the Hawks. You were.
Oh yeah, I loved all the girls. We were all pretty tight knit squad. It wasn't just the 22 that played on the game. It was us that got over the line. I reckon some of the closer friends I had at the Hawks were Talia Fellows, Aine McDonagh, Mackenzie Mature. So they always made me laugh and made sure I enjoyed my time down in Melbourne.
That's good. I actually had Talia on in a Gold Kingdom. I don't know if you've ever seen it. We had a Gold Kingdom a long time ago, before the season of last year, and I had her friend on from Casey Demons, Caitlin Conroy as well. And I'm not great at Gold King challenges when I do these, but on that day I did get the victory ahead of both of them, so I felt pretty proud of myself for that.
Very good.
Yeah, and Talia playing for Hawks as well, and a few other names that you mentioned, obviously done pretty well so far in their careers at Hawthorn. And obviously, Ketch retiring this year as well, but had a good career and obviously a long-standing one, not just on the field as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. Ketch is going to be forever an AFLW icon, I think. On and off, doing so much in the media. On the field, she did so much for the team. So, and also on the back of that, she was great for the culture as well, bringing laughs and diversity and telling from where she came from as well, which was really cool for me to listen to as well. And then the same with Anya, such a diverse background, came from Ireland, and is killing it right down the AFLW. Yeah,
she absolutely is. And Anya, I think until the last maybe round or so, she kicked a goal every game leading up. I don't know if she did every single round, but it was definitely at least 8 or 9 games in a row of kicking at least a goal every game. Obviously, got a bright future and obviously dominating this year. Still got plenty of years ahead. Obviously, in 2019, you won the NTFL Best and Fairest in 2019. How was that time for you? And obviously, it was a cool moment. How was the count that night?
Taking it back to the Gwyn medal. I was 19. I was actually that's probably a career highlight of mine, because I was in and out playing that year because I was going to the Gold Coast to train with them and returning back to NTFL and playing with the Palmerston Magpies. So I playing 13 games that year. But I polled the highest votes at 23, which was crazy to me. So because I wasn't expecting that. But I was there with my best mate from local footy and some of the management at Palmerston Magpies, and it was a pretty surreal experience. I enjoyed that night.
That's good. Do you still have any desires to potentially one day again join the competition again in AFLW?
Oh yeah, definitely. I do want to get drafted again or signed up again. At the moment, I'm playing local footy at the moment in Darwin, just enjoying my time and taking a little bit of mental refresh. Yep. But if the opportunity arose again, I'll definitely grab it with both hands and run with it.
That's good. Obviously, you mentioned being a forward, loving some goals. What is one of the best individual goals you've ever kicked? It doesn't have to be in the AFLW. It could be in any competition. It could be a training forward. It doesn't matter. What's the best goal you feel you got?
I was a mid forward growing up, playing, but I'm actually a halfback flanker mid now. So, I feel like it's been a while since I've actually kicked a goal, but I don't remember the last time I kicked a goal. Probably right before I got drafted.
That's fair. I'll rephrase the question then. What type of goal, if you could hypothetically decide whatever goal you'd want to get, whatever type, whether it's a torp, an opposite forward, a kick from outside 50, a check side from the boundary, opposite foot on the boundary, anything like that, what one would you want to do out of all those options, or any of the options you can think of?
I'd do like a Eddie Betts, keep it in the ground from the pocket, outside checked like a banana, straight in.
Would you want your own pocket like Eddie's got? He's obviously got Eddie's pocket. Would you want Janet's pocket?
Yeah, for sure.
Everyone like obviously Eddie. Would you say that Eddie Betts, since you mentioned Eddie Betts, is the greatest small forward of all time in the AFL?
Yeah, Eddie Betts or Cerulli. Like,
Yeah.
And yeah, Cerulli, Eddie Betts. Between those two, yeah.
It's obviously a tough choice.
Eddie as a goal sneak, Cerulli as just a little master getting the ball down there.
That is very, very true. What do you feel is the best individual game that you've ever played in any form of competition? It can be in the NTFL for either the two AFLW sides you're playing in, that you feel like was probably your best individual game ever that kind of got you to the position where you got to play for those two clubs?
I think one of my last games so NT Thunder had a VFL side. Oh, actually, I had a pretty good game last year against KC Demons in the Box Hill VFL side.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a good game. I played on the wing. I was
Yep.
not a wing, but I played on the wing. I played defensively, and I got a couple of good clearances back then. Good.
That's good. Any nicknames you get given at the club, any of the clubs that you've been at that you like or dislike?
I don't have any ones I dislike. I got Silky growing up at Pumps Pies, and then JB or Betty, my go-tos nowadays.
That's all right. Now, coaches' pets. Did Beck ever have any coaches' pets at the Hawks?
Oh, coaches' pets at the Hawks. Not one that screams out at me. I feel like she had a few that loved. Maybe Jazz Fleming, maybe?
Jazz, yeah.
Don't quote me on that.
That's fair enough. Hopefully she doesn't hear that. Any at Gold Coast? So I'll try and save you a little bit by potentially mentioning another one. Anyone at Gold Coast?
At Gold Coast? Oh, I feel like, with Lakey, David Lake, when I first got there.
Yep.
So long ago, I can't believe it.
That's why I named Hawthorn, yeah.
Maybe. Nah, too far back.
Too far back. That's fair enough. Absolutely.
Like Cam Joyce. He always joked around with Kalinda Howarth. They were buddies.
There you go. We'll count that then. Kalinda can be the one. You obviously now join the Pies.
Yeah, that's exciting.
It is. Be interesting opportunity. Obviously, had some injuries and be good to see how she goes at the Pies. A new opportunity. Who do you feel is the best player in the competition? Because this year, I know Mon Conti won by 7 votes in the BNF night, but in general, I think most would agree that it was really tight. You could pick Jazz Garner, Ash Riddell, Ebony Marinoff. Who would you Laura Garner? Who would you have in that category for who's the best player in the competition? Not necessarily this year, but just in general.
I just think hands down, Jazz Garner is just an all-round type of player. And I think she just makes such a huge impact on the scoreboard and in the contest as well. So Jazz Garner, hands down, for me at the moment.
Yeah, this could be an interesting one. This kind of could be similar to the question I just asked about Coach's Pet, but who loves the limelight, the attention, and the camera at the Hawks, and they know exactly where the camera is to over-celebrate a celebration, to scare someone, anything like that in particular? Anyone that jumps to mind for that?
Ketchy. Always know.
Yes.
She's trained. She's a trained camera assassin. She knows where it is.
That is very, very true. That's a good choice. If you could, what's something someone does at the Hawks that you cannot stand? Whether that was scaring someone or anything that comes to mind, leaving rubbish around. Is there anything that jumps to mind?
That annoyed me.
Or could be annoying, or someone that just like where you're pondering your head going, I don't know why you do that.
Emily Bates leaves everything behind. Like, she leaves things. She forgets, like, her top, or if she brought a jumper, or if she brought a water bottle down, she forgets those, and we had to pick them for her, which we do because we love her. But it was just a habit she could never break.
Well, luckily she's a good player then, because outside of, because obviously from this side of the team is good.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was that?
I said, luckily she never leaves the ball behind.
And I suppose that's the main thing, at least, isn't that right? I mean, the other stuff can be annoying, but at least on field it doesn't affect that. So
Yeah.
Did you play any other sports growing up?
Yeah, I played rugby league growing up. So rugby league and netball was my two other sports.
How did you go at both those sports?
Yeah, I was pretty good at both. I played 5'8" in rugby, and netball. I was goalkeeper and goal defense, and my dad told me I was too short, so I had to quit.
That's fair enough. Any outside of footy interests that you have?
Outside footy interest, I think, like career-wise, I think I want to work with Indigenous kids, trying to get them in a sporting pathway of their choice. It doesn't have to be AFL. But I love cooking. I love hunting. I love going out with my family, that sort of thing. Being really I'm a very outdoorsy person.
Nice, that's good. Who would you say is in the games you played in the AFLW, who would you say is your toughest opponent that you've ever had to match up on?
Toughest opponent. I played on Kate Lutkins when we at the Hawks, and she was tough. Like she just always knew where it was before you knew where it was. It's been a while now.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, I had 4 games across 4 seasons, so it's hard to pin down an opponent now.
That's fair enough. Who would you rather mark or goalie? Which one would you rather do?
If I could jump on someone's head, I would. So mark of the year.
That's fair enough. Sorry, go on.
No, I feel like mark of the year would be harder to get, so you'd get, you'd be happy with it.
And at least with mark of the year, I suppose, if you're lucky enough for it to be filmed or captured on a photo or whatever, at least you get a photo, you can post about it, or you can with a goal too, but for a photo, you can put it as a profile pic or whatever you want to use it for, and if it's something to boast about, I suppose, especially if you don't get it regularly. Unless you're Jeremy Howe, no one else does it regularly.
Yeah.
Okay, so interstate trips, were you a fan of interstate trips?
We had absolutely no choice of interstate trips when I was at the Gold Coast. I feel like we were always traveling, and I was always in a traveling emergency, actually. So I would travel to all of these locations and not actually play, which was tough in itself. But also, we used to travel down and play VFL in Melbourne almost every weekend. So I think I just got used to it. Had my everything like that, so I was all good.
Who are some teammates or players in the competition in AFLW that you've just been impressed by that don't really get talked about as much? They really should deserve a bit more attention.
I think at Gold Coast, I think Lucy Single needed to be talked about a lot.
Yeah.
And now she's getting the credit she deserves. And I think at the Hawks at the moment, I think Aine McDonagh is progressing so fast and at such a standard that I think she needs a little bit more credit for where she started last year. Like she didn't know how to kick a ball, and now the most consistent forwards in the game. So I think those two are pretty. I think they need a little bit more limelight or shown on them.
Sure. Defenders. Now, do you feel that the defenders deserve more love in form of an official title? Because obviously with the Brownlow or the BNF awards in the AFLW, it's basically for midfielders and sometimes ruckmen get involved. For the forwards, they got the Coleman. The defenders, they don't have their own title. Should they have their own official title for an award to some degree? Whatever that is, but should they have one?
Definitely. I feel like if you stop 10 goals but let 3 in, you apparently had a bad day in the office. But I think that's a good thing for. But you just reminded me, Jenna Richardson needs to be talked about more in the media as well. I think she's one of the best young defenders in the game. So, defenders definitely need their own award.
Yeah, for sure. No, Jenna's had a good year at the Hawks, obviously with Mackenzie early as well down back, and probably, as you mentioned, a younger backline as well, and they probably need some more support in the experience in that position as well. But no, those two in particular have done very well. Now, I'll wrap it up with a quiz. So, how do you feel you would go about knowing your own former Hawk teammates?
I think I'll go all right.
But now, no pressure. Everyone I've done this with is probably well over 10 people now. So you get 3 questions. How it works, you get 3 questions, you get 2 clues, then you have to guess who you think it is. Then if you get that wrong, I'll give you one final clue. And then if you get it wrong again, then you'll get it fully wrong. Now, no pressure. No one's got a single question wrong ever. So you don't want to be the first. I did an interview with I think it was who was it with? Some in the last few days. And they almost butchered the last question. So that's probably the closest someone's got to butchering one. So let's see how you go, Janet. No pressure. Right. So the first person is, they are a rising star, or they were a rising star contender this year. They're quick, is in football. They're quick. That's the first 2 clues. For Hawthorn only, this is.
Yeah, Charlotte Buscarin.
No. Right. So the final clue is their jumper number was a single-digit number, and in fact, it was actually very close to yours.
Jazz Fleming.
Yes, perfect. Right, that's 1 for 1. Good start. Good start.
Yeah.
Right, number 2. They are a popular Hawthorn player. They are what some would deem as funny. So that's the first 2 clues.
Okay, next clue. I feel like we're all funny.
Fair enough.
We're all popular.
Okay, that's all right. I'm gonna have to rephrase it. Okay, so now let me look up another clue. Then they're probably very similar clues. So their jumper number is in the 20s, early 20s.
Early 20s, and they're all Sarah Perkins?
No. And okay, so the final clue for this person and last chance is that they're played 17 currently AFLW games. And I'll give you another clue to be nice. They are 22 years of age.
Early 20s. Tam Smith.
No. Sophie Locke.
Oh, Sophie.
Yeah, that's all right. It's okay. Someone's going to... So the next person I have on will get one wrong. I'm going to make it extremely hard for them as well, so then you won't be the only one. There'll be plenty that stuff up. But this one will be very interesting, so that's okay. Now, I wonder how you'll go with this person. This is actually a good one. I'll explain after. All right, so this player, who was on Hawthorn's list this year, in their career, played 4 AFLW games. They played for 2 clubs.
Me?
Yes, correct. Well, now, it's funny. Every time I talk about someone getting stumped on a question, it's always the question about themselves. They normally get the others correct, but the one about themselves, not every time, but a lot of the time, that's the one they stump on the most. But, Janet, I really... Sorry, that's all right. Go on.
No, I didn't say anything.
That's all right. Janet, I really appreciate you coming on. All the best for whatever lies ahead for you in the future. I really appreciate you coming on. It was good fun having you on. I appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks so much for having me on.